What's up guys? We are 1 month away from the futuristic iPhone 8. It's hard to believe it is almost here. Let's go ahead and cover the last week in iPhone 8 leaks, news, rumors, everything clumped up into one because there's a lot to talk about. So first off, a new report published by Ming-Chi Kuo. He actually detailed some of the last key points about the iPhone 8 before release. Firstly, colors. He says there will only be 3 colors of all iPhones coming later this year, and that includes the 7S models and the iPhone 8. There will only be black, silver, and gold, so there will not be any other colors, and this is probably to differentiate the lineup a little bit, simplify it. That means rose gold, jet black, and red are going to be disappearing, which I'm very sad to see those go, but I guess it makes sense. Now, in a new report, this supposed gold is apparently a copper tone iPhone to be called Blush Gold by Vania Gaskin. I reported on this in my last video. Since then, there have been a lot of mock-ups that have leaked online. A lot of people have got these and reviewed them. I'm getting mine tomorrow. And this new color is actually very good looking. It seems to be a new trend in modern smartphones. So more of a copperish color, blush gold. It might not be that name. He says it's improperly translated, possibly, but that's the best explanation of that color. And good news for the launch. So Ming-Chi Kuo was saying that mass production is happening a month earlier than previously anticipated because of several developments. That means that the actual release of the iPhone 8 will be happening sooner and will not be delayed until November like previously thought. So they will be launching the iPhone 8 alongside the 7S in September, but there will only be 2 to 4 million units at launch. So before the end of the year, good luck getting one. If you are going to get one, it's very likely either you're extremely lucky or paying much more than retail. And about these dummy units, everyone seems to have one. They are leaking like wildfire. Everyone's grabbing one, and they're showing up in 3 basic colors, of course, with glass backs on all models, confirming or adding more evidence to the pile that the iPhone 7S and 7S Plus will be getting wireless charging as well. Now, what will the next iPhone lineup be called? There's a lot of confusion, even between the actual developer who found a lot of the HomePod code referencing the iPhone 8. He's saying that it's unlikely to be called the iPhone Pro. John Gruber in his new article disagrees and says that it's likely it will be called the iPhone Pro, and goes into further detail saying that the iPhone 7S naming scheme will not exist at all. He said the 7S will not exist. There will be a different naming scheme for that iPhone because people tie in the S naming scheme to be a small update, and it will not be a small update. He says because it's getting a new glass back, new features, Apple wants to differentiate itself from that past S naming scheme and just call it either the iPhone, literally just the iPhone, or the iPhone 8 for that base model iPhone 7S, then the iPhone 8 Plus, and the iPhone 8 Pro for the actual iPhone 8. Quite confusing, but basically I created these diagrams. So the old one, what we thought it would be called, and the new 2 options that John Gruber is saying will likely be the 2 that Apple will choose between. Also in his report, Ming-Chi Kuo again is reinforcing his earlier statement that fast charging will be happening across all devices coming later this year, but the actual cube, the power adapter to make fast charging happen, will not be sold in the box. You'll have to buy that separately. And here's an actual case render that leaked, high quality, showing the iPhone 8 and that sensor bar in very, very close-up detail. I love it. I love the UIG cases in general. They're one of my favorite brands personally, but for them to release this gives further and further credibility to this design because this is a pretty reputable case company. Just a little tidbit. So remember the actual glyph, the icon of the iPhone leaked in the Apple HomePod firmware? Well, this is the actual animation that it belongs to. Quite interesting that this was shared by that developer, and this is some sort of Face ID unlock animation, possibly gesturing for you to go ahead and lift that phone up and unlock it with your face. Kind of cool. Just thought I'd share that one with you. And there is mounting evidence stacking up that Face ID will support Apple ID payments. So further code actually found some error messages where Face ID payment was not authenticated, and this was shared by the developer, just adding more and more evidence that Face ID will eventually replace Touch ID, or is going to with the iPhone 8 as a payment system. And some more code found within the HomePod firmware suggests that Face ID will work while it's lying down on a table. So your iPhone can be laying flat, you can be sitting in front of it on a desk, and you will be able to unlock your phone using that system. Because it's using infrared sensors, it can scan your face in many awkward positions that standard iris scanning would not be able to do. There also seems to be an auto lock feature where somebody could possibly be scanning their face and it would lock your account in case that your phone got stolen and someone was attempting to scan their face as yours, something like that. Maybe it senses something is wrong and automatically locks up your account. There's also reference to the fact that several people could use this feature on your phone, maybe some sort of sharing system in there. And the actual way Mark Gurman thinks Apple will pitch the idea of Face ID to consumers, how it will replace Touch ID, is that it'll be faster, more accurate, and more secure. So in the keynote, they're going to cover those three major topics. And in the code, more references to more features coming to the iPhone 8 camera. So both the front and rear camera sensors will be able to do 1080p 240 frames per second slow motion, which is already another upgrade to the camera. Last week we heard about 4K 60 frames per second, and that was very impressive. That blew my mind. So Apple really is going to be ramping up those camera features. There's also references in there to rear Pearl ID, so some sort of authentication with the rear camera. There's also modern HDR and multi-biometrics, whatever that means. And there are some more leaks that are confusing the design of the iPhone 8. Apparently from a Foxconn insider showing a actual tray of iPhone 8 models with the fingerprint sensor on back, slightly different design, not glass backs. Basically everything that we've heard was wrong based on this. Honestly, could be an attempt by Apple to muddle the waters here to make things more unclear, but I think it's going to take a lot more than this based on the HomePod leak. There's also some instructional booklets here showcase this same design with fingerprint sensor on the back and a square display. Ugly. Really hoping this is fake. Vinny, I guess, can sure thinks so. So just wanted you guys to know those are out there as well. And the actual top layer of the glass for the iPhone 8 has leaked as well. Don't know about the authenticity of this one, but it does show in closer detail what the actual cutouts will be for, and it's very interesting. So Face ID, the facial recognition system, will require 3 additional sensors, with the old proximity sensor and light sensor being placed in a very slim top bar up there. Very interesting. And some details about the virtual home button of the iPhone 8 hidden deep within the HomePod code reveals several key features. For one, it can resize, the indicator can be hidden, no API to change the actual color of the home button, so that's going to be static, and the tab bars extend under it. And in an explanation, basically the tab bars extending underneath it is simply the background of the bottom bar can stretch downwards as needed. And the same developer, Steve TS, has actually leaked the usable screen space of the iPhone 8, recreated the perfect edges and curves of the actual screen based on the HomePod details, and this is what we've gotten in a quick mock-up by a different user. So it shows us the basic shape. Now with this, a lot of developers have taken the liberty of creating apps, implementing how the iPhone 8 will actually work, and it's very interesting to see their work. Here's an actual live demo from one user that would explain how the curved display would work, how launching it with the virtual home button would work, and it looks very, very interesting, very good, very fluid. I love how everything ties in with the curved corners. It flows very, very well. I think it's a beautiful concept, and many developers have actually shown how full screen apps that we currently use would look like on the iPhone 8 based on the leaked screen estate itself, and it looks pretty good. The home button itself is very tiny, but it wouldn't need to be big. That's the thing. The actual screen size of the iPhone 8 is not going to be very big. This is an actual mock-up compared to the iPhone 7 right now, and you get a very slim amount on top of what the iPhone 7's was, which is not much at all. The other room is taken up by the virtual home button function area, and the other part with the status bar itself. And an actual prediction from Steve TS, this is not backed by any code leak or anything like that, but Apple could actually match the top status bar area with the bottom to create a symmetry in the iOS experience for the iPhone 8. Because it's going to be off, they might as well compensate on the bottom for the virtual home button area and the function bar area. I think it's a very interesting concept. And here are a couple mock-ups of how video could actually look on the iPhone 8. One developer seems to think that Apple will be switching to an 18:9 aspect ratio, and this is how video would look. It would crop the top and bottom area of the iPhone, and you'd basically get squared video like you would on a normal one. And another concept explores the idea of video taking up the entire screen estate. I personally think it would crop and stretch the video just a little bit too much, and plus the sensor bars covering up some of your content. So the other option, I believe, will be the one Apple will go with. More hidden code suggests that the iPhone 8 will be able to suppress notifications when it notices you are making eye contact with it. Why display a notification when you're already on your phone using it? And a Foxconn vice president has actually spoken about the iPhone 8's price, saying it will not be cheap. Hey, what a surprise. We already knew it would be around $1,200, but the actual piece of information he shared that was very interesting is that the iPhone 8 has a 40% failure rate for the display. That's crazy. It must be so advanced that it's that difficult to make. It's truly, in a phone, one of the first completely edge-to-edge displays with a very small cutout. I mean, the essential smartphone will be one also, but most, like the Galaxy, do have a bezel on the top and bottom as well. And here's something crazy. Apple spends an insane amount on research and development compared to its competitors. So in a new report, Apple bumped up their R&D by 15% at the end of July, and this is probably for the new Apple car, for the HomePod, for the actual wearable glasses they're working on. There's a lot of projects that they're putting more and more money into. And for Apple, that comes out to be the same R&D ratio as when the original iPhone was being developed. That's just crazy for a company worth this much today. All right, guys, there it is. That's the latest on the iPhone 8 for this week. We're only a month away. I cannot personally wait to get the new copper color. I think it looks fantastic. A lot of smaller features we're finding out about. Those cameras are going to be very, very impressive with the 4K 60 and the improved slow motion. So stay tuned for more information on that. I'll have more videos for you soon and giveaway coming later this week. Peace.